What do you think about Ray's influence on current filmmakers?
Very simply, it probably comes down to the 1950s when all the guys who worked on Star Wars were teenagers or very early 20s, and they all grew up with Ray's films. They all saw Beast 20,000 Fathoms, It Came Beneath the Sea, Earth versus Flying Saucers, and the black and white, the science fiction movies. But the thing that did the damage, if you like, was Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, because all of these guys, Dennis Muir and Phil Tippett, John Landis, everybody, Connor's mentioned this, everybody saw that film, and Dennis Muir, who's got about 8 Oscars now with ILM, he went back and saw it 7 times in the first week of release. Phil Tippett used to mow lawns to raise the money to keep going to see it again and again and again, pocket money. And it was basically, I mean, these guys didn't know how Ray was doing it at the time. They didn't have any clue about the split screen technique that was to come, that was later. But they just saw someone who was in, as Jim Danforth, who was another fantastic actor who worked around Clash of the Titans eventually, he said, had it been to King Kong, just left with that, a lot of us wouldn't have gone into business because that was 1933. But here was someone who was in the current climate, the current conditions, producing stuff that was inspirational to us, but making a living out of it. And that was where the practical side came in, because this guy was making movie after movie after movie. And so these guys were seeing films that would inspire them to go home and make plasticine dinosaurs, and we've all been there, and, and make their own stop motion films. But there was a guy who was practical. He wasn't a dreamer. He was doing stuff that they could actually understand. There was a guy in the film industry. And so to them, that was something to aspire to and aim for. And one of the great things, of course, was that Ray invited all these people to his studio. Once they found out where he was, he would allow them to come in and look at his work and examine the models and be incredibly encouraging. And these, I mean, they all credit their career to the fact that they saw those films as youngsters, but also the fact that Ray was not some aloof, inaccessible person. He was this friendly character who would chat to them and correspond with them. He'd write thousands of letters to these people. We've got them all in the archive. All of these letters he used to write to David Allen, who just produced Primevals, the new one just been released. All these letters he wrote to him when he was a teenager, just encourage him, have fun, that's the important thing to do, And so Ray's influence on these people, simply that he was producing stuff that was inspirational, but it was practical. It was something that they could actually do themselves. And I think they all acknowledge that without him, the film industry, especially the effects industry, Connor's touched on this, that we wouldn't have Star Wars, we wouldn't have RoboCop, we wouldn't have The Terminator, we wouldn't have, Ghostbusters, we wouldn't have so many things, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, Lord of the Rings. They're all creditable. They're all people who, and we know who's behind those films, really. The guiding light behind those. And I think that's right. Ray's contribution is that he was this inspiration that never let people down with his work. They go and see his films and they'd never be disappointed. And that was their inspiration, I think.